What are a few of your most meaningful memories about my work?
The work of Nicholas. Wow. I remember a young man coming to the shelter with his mom. They were fleeing domestic violence. The mother didn't speak English. He was a young man who did everything for her. I remember him walking around in his mother's boots, and it was summertime, and he had nothing else to wear. And I remember putting in a call and asking Nicholas if they had shoes in that size. And I told the story, and they brought a pair of shoes over for this young man. Every day prior to that, this young man had to listen to being ridiculed for wearing women's boots with fur around the top of them in the summertime. But he walked in them every day to try and help his mother get to the places that she needed to get. And I remember when he got those sneakers, he got a pair of sneakers, and he was so excited, he cried, his mother cried. And he said, one of the things that stands out the most to me that he said is, I've never owned a pair of new shoes. I've never, and I think he was 13 or 14, but he said, I've never owned a pair of new shoes, ever in all my life. And he just sat and he hugged them, and he cried, and his mother cried. Then there was the young girl who, when she got her shoes, she put them in the bed with her at night. She slept with them because she was so thankful for the shoes that Nicholas had brought. I could tell you numerous stories about how some of the children, one little girl had went to school. She had one pair of shoes, and her brother had one pair of shoes. They wore almost the same size. The brother didn't go to school, but the daughter did. So during the day, the daughter wore the brother's shoes to school, and the little girl, the other one, stayed home barefooted with slippers on. And I remember when they each got their own pair of shoes, and they didn't have to share them anymore. And I remember the mom sitting on the side of the bed just crying and crying. And that night, I worked late, and she came into my office, and she said, I need to talk to you. And I said, sure. And she says, I just want to tell you how blessed I am that now my children both have shoes. You don't know how bad I felt having to say to my daughter, you can't wear shoes today because your brother has to wear them. And knowing that they were girls' shoes that he was wearing to school, but there was nothing I could do. I had no money. I had nothing else to give them. And so she sat in my office and we talked for a long time. And it was the beginning, actually, of her feeling good about herself. And she said, I feel like this is my first step in making my kids feel good. I'm thankful to have a roof over their head, but I'm even more thankful that they don't have to be embarrassed. We can actually go outside with the other kids and play, and they don't have to feel embarrassed. So when Nicholas comes to bring shoes to the shelter, not only does he provide them with shoes for their feet, he provides them with more than that. He provides them with a way to feel good. He boosts their self-esteem. He does things that the average person, even if I went to the shoe store, I wouldn't get the treatment that Nicholas provides for our people. And he does it with such respect, such dignity. And that was one of my concerns. Many times people come to the shelter to bring donations, and it's almost if they want to, it's about me, me, me. It's never been that about Nicholas. It's always been, always, he's always careful about how the children are treated. Always careful that they're not just put on display. Very careful to pay attention to their body language, their emotions, and know when a child doesn't like a pair of shoes. Never once have I heard him complain. If a child doesn't like it, the next thing I know, they're coming back and bringing them a pair that will suit that child. And that, to me, says that This is more than just a job. This is something that his heart is into. It's something that he loves. And I am honored and proud to know Nicholas. Really, from the bottom of my heart. I am so, so honored to have been a part of this. I've been working in this field for a long time, and I've never come across anyone who has touched my heart as much as Nicholas has. As I fight back tears even now, because he is a phenomenal young man, and I'm so thankful. I speak for all the families and the women. We're thankful.
How many children have I helped in your shelter?
Wow. I would say probably at least 700 or more, at a minimum of. Because every time there's a turnover in the shelter, every time a child's shoes wear out, we call and Nicholas comes with a replacement pair or a pair for that new child. In being, now especially that the shelters are overflowed, we have had more families since from August last year to now than we've had in the history of the family shelter. And they've been able to provide shoes for all those children. It is such joy to see that many children have actually received shoes. Not just any shoes, but new shoes. And that many children, Nicholas has had the opportunity to touch their lives. And many of them some of them have moved on. But when I talk to them and I see them on the street, and I'll ask them, I'll say something, and they'll ask, hey, does that kid Nicholas still come and give shoes to kids that don't have them? And I'll say, absolutely. And they say, wow, wow. And it was one lady who was in the shelter who really wanted to talk about how her children could create, or how she could develop a nonprofit where she could give back. And it was she was inspired from what she saw Nicholas do. So, yes. Not only to the children's shelter, there was over 700, but to the women, homeless women that we have at the shelter, there must be at least, wow, I want to say maybe maybe 900, about 900 pairs of shoes that came through. And can I just tell you, the women were very excited, and they went from each of the different programs, the job training programs. The women were allowed to have new shoes to go for their interviews. Some of them never had a pair of new shoes. So between the two, there's been a lot of shoes and happy feet, if I must say, that the children and the women have benefited from. It's very difficult to walk around in shoes that don't fit. And the way Nicholas sits with each person and makes sure the shoe fits properly and it's comfortable, that's important. That's so important. Because you could just give them a box. He could just give them, here's a box of shoes. Thank you. But he doesn't do that. He sits. He tries them on the child. This is not a proper fit. We'll bring you back another one until it fits. That says love. That says caring. That says respect. That says all the things that defines Nicholas.